Good evening, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. I'm your host, Ross World, back again with an update for a video. Sorry about the last one, guys. But this time we're going to get this information and we'll give you from a good source. We're coming from governmenttrack.us.com. This will kind of give you a little more information that this bill about free rent and no mortgage and also the $2,000 a month stimulus payment is actually a real thing. And we're going to go over it very quickly. Okay, so let me share my screen with you so you can get this update and we can move on to bigger and better things. All right, so here it is. This is the one that is proposing free rent and no mortgage. So let's look at the bill numbers here of the House of Representatives. Now we're going to start off with the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act of 2020. Okay. That's the number for your reference. It was introduced to the House by Ilhan Omar, who is the representative for Minnesota. And it says right here, April 17th, introduced. This bill is in the first stage of the legislative process. It was introduced into Congress on that day. It was typically be considered by committee next before it possibly sent onto the House or Senate as a whole. So this is a real thing. This is not a hoax that you might have heard people. This bill was actually proposed to Congress, okay? So it is going to be, and this particular bill is basically for the extent of this pandemic or 6 months that you have no rent payments and you pay no mortgage payments, okay? Also dated back to April, which is the cool thing, dated back to April, you wouldn't have to you can actually get those funds back from your landlord and also from your mortgage holder. They will have to actually refund you money. And then in turn, the landlord, the rental property owners, the mortgage holders, they will have to get their money from the federal government through a different fund, okay? Through a different fund. So let's move on to the next one, which I know you guys really want to see, okay? So the next one, we'll do this. To provide for the insurance of emergency monthly payments to every American throughout the duration of the coronavirus crisis to provide it. So some people are saying 6 months, some people are saying throughout the duration, but nonetheless, it was introduced by Tim Ryan, who's a representative for Ohio, on the 14th of April, and it says this bill is in the first stage of the legislative process. It was introduced into Congress on April 14th. It will typically be considered by committee next before it possibly sent. Now, usually they have a prognosis on this site to let you know the probability of it being passed. For this particular bill, it does not. However, the last one we looked at, they're saying that this one only has a 5% chance of being enacted according to Scupos, which is a lab survey. They do a lot of analysis and they're pretty accurate and they get the source from congress.gov. Now, even with that said, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it may not be passed in the order of the bill being written, but there's certain elements, there's certain parts and particles that they could actually take away from it. And maybe it's $1,500 a month. They say, no, we're not going to do $2,000. They may have to propose another bill. And then during these committees, they do proposals as well. Like say, listen, rewrite this bill, write this offer, rewrite this proposal and make it $1,500, make it $1,200. We'll do $1,200 a month. Nonetheless, we see the wheels are turning in Congress and we're getting closer and closer to an ongoing stimulus package, not just some measly $1,200 one time. All right, let's go through one more because I think this one is important as well. We're going to skip right over the Paycheck Protection Program and Healthcare Enhancement Act and move to the direct security of the Treasury to establish a Boost Communities program to provide monthly payments to American consumers during this particular time. Now, this one was introduced by Rashida Tlaib, the representative of Michigan, and it reads on April 17th, this bill is in the first stage of the legislative process. It was introduced into Congress on the 17th. It would typically be considered by committee. Now, this one does not have a prognosis as well. So all of these bills, ladies and gentlemen, are very, very aggressive, but nonetheless, the representatives, the one that you voted in, some of them are doing their freaking job, and I'm actually astounded by this. I'm actually astounded that it's even being proposed. Now, it may get pop, 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 shot down, but nonetheless, it is being proposed. Good evening, Nolan. Good evening, Ashley, and good evening, Stephen. All right, guys, that's pretty much all the information I have for you. I'm gonna come out with more information dealing with support and help and assistance during the coronavirus and stimulus-based things. That way, if you need food, I did a video earlier about your car insurance. Take the time to look at these videos. I'm making them shorter so you can get the information even quicker. Learn money and be inspired. All right, guys, you take care of yourself and be safe.